Okay, good morning, everybody. 11 o'clock. Good morning, Ocean Pines. What's today's date? February 5th? It's Wednesday. It's February 5th. We're at the clubhouse. It's budget time. I see a lot of racket sports people. So I'm in the right place. Okay, so I've assembled the team, your team, our team. They're here to answer any questions on the budget. But let me just tell you how it works today. We do a presentation. I did ask the sign-in people to find out exactly what this room is looking for today so that I can make sure I do address what you're looking for today. There is a comment section at the end, just like board meetings. Please keep your comments to 5 minutes. I did hear today, and I did speak to a gentleman, very nice. Apparently you have a presentation, 15 slides. I recommended that you send that to the GM, send it to Racket Sports Director, and send it to the board. The board did tell me they are very interested in reading it. This just isn't the forum for that. You could certainly encompass whatever you had in those slides into the comments section. I hope that works for everybody. The comments section is a comment section. What I've done in the past is if there is something in that comment that focuses on something in the budget that we might have missed, some number or some explanation, we'll certainly try to answer it. All right, but it's not a debate. This is your chance to make your comments. I got 5 or 6 board members in the House. They are certainly interested to hear what you're saying. Okay, so with that said, so the sign-in sheet, there's probably about 75, 90 people here. 75% or 75 of the people, their main focus is racket sports, and that's fine. I do have somebody who wants to know about the assessments, and I will certainly address that. And then we have one, this is reminding me of years ago, that wants me to address slush funds. So Steve Phillips will definitely address that. I will answer any. I've heard about these slush funds for 20, 25 years. When I first got in that building in 2017, the first thing I did was to go look for these slush funds that I heard about. So I believe Steve and myself are well versed to answer that question. But of course, there's no slush fund. All right, let's go. So there is an agenda. We'll start off with the general manager comments. What I want to talk about is the overview of the budget, of what we've done, what we focused on. The key items in this budget, different from prior years or enhanced or increased. Public safety, and I've spoken about public safety for several years. It certainly was the #1 item on the survey that's been taking for strategic plan or anything else. Public safety, and the budget does reflect a big increase in public safety spend for the Ocean Pines Volunteer Fire Department, EMS, as well as the police department. It's in there. I've given some stats in general. If I look at 5, 7 years ago, in which we have this, if anybody asks for it, if I look at about 7 years ago, Steve, the percentage of the assessment for public safety was somewhere around 20%, low 20s, 20, 22, depending. Now it's somewhere around 40%, 42%. So even though our assessment has kind of come down, and there is a slight increase this year, but if you look over the years, it has come down. We have increased our spend on safety, and rightfully so. And it's reflected in the quality that we have in the volunteer fire department, EMS, and our police department. Next is, no, go back. So the next is maintenance. We've increased maintenance every year. We've also renovated and or replaced a lot of our assets over the last several years. So kind of sometimes the spend goes for replacement, and that does have an effect sometimes on our operating P&L for the current year, but not overall. Our infrastructure, roads, bulkheads, drainage, all enhanced in the 5, 6 years, and this year and every year. We've done over $1 million in drainage pipes that we never, type of pipes and stuff that we never did before over the last 4 or 5 years. The capital, we'll address that in a separate slide, especially for this year. It is focused on the golf course, irrigation, and racket sports. Linda will take us through that. The initiatives on the fire department, I did mention about the increased spend there, especially for apparatus, are part of it. And of course, we're going to have the building next year. Some budget highlights we do have, and we have this every year, and it's somewhere in the neighborhood, what, Steve, around 10% for medical and liability insurance. Each year, somehow, and you probably see this also in your personal life, but they're going up. The medical is up dramatically. Our cost for a family membership, Steve, is how much? 15 to 18,000 is what I've heard in different meetings. That's a big number. We have the new FMLI. That's something new now. We've talked about it in board meetings, but there certainly is a cost in the assessment we have to follow, and we will follow the laws of the land, the laws of Maryland on FMLI, and there is an increase for that, but we are on that. And it's reflected. The pricing study, you'll hear more about pricing study. Obviously, a lot of the reasons some of you are here is the pricing study did affect racket sports as well as across the board in the amenities. And we'll talk more about that in a separate slide. Just a couple other things before we move on. Let me just, where are we today? So today, if we look at where we're at, thank you, Linda. One of the big things I want to highlight today, I did get a question from somebody, and I see he's in the audience, and I'm glad to see him here. He's been involved in this stuff probably longer than I have, but he has asked us questions on our favorability, our retained earnings, our reserves, and they're good questions. So one of the things we'll talk about today, and this is a big part of the assessment, is our favorability. Every year I've been up here, and I've been fortunate that our team, our board, our association has brought forth favorability in each budget. That favorability, I need you to all understand this, and Steve will talk about it more. That favorability, once realized, and I define realized as once we get a final audit report from the independent accountants, which usually happens in July, that money is there for us in retained earnings and utilized for the next budget. And we do that. And I need everybody to understand that. And we've been doing that. So last year I got questions on, what are you doing with this favorability? Well, that favorability was reflected in the budget that we're talking to you today. Okay, so that's a big one. We're a not-for-profit. We are reinvesting that money. It's not a dividend, and it is part of our strategic plan, as well as our reserves. The balance sheet has never been stronger, in my opinion, at least since I've been looking at it. We continue, or at least I believe, and look, there's different schools of thought on how do you want your balance sheet. Certainly today, depending on those different schools of thought, we'll have your comments. I don't believe in a negative balance sheet, a negative retained earnings. And we had that. We had deficits 5-6 years ago. But there is a balance. I'm also not saying we should have big numbers in there. But we need to look at that. We need to look at that over the strategic plan years, especially with the DMA study coming up in a year and a half. We want to make sure that we're positioned right when that DMA study comes. I really don't want to sit or stand up here when the time comes and says, hey, the DMA study, which is an independent study on our reserves, which is now mandated by the state, by regulatory rules. I've seen other homeowners associations of special assessments, several $100s in addition to the homeowners assessment. I'm hoping we're just right. I've used the Goldilocks scenario in the past. We'll know more about that in a year and a half. But that's big, and that's big about where we are and why we need a balance sheet the way it is. We have improved our maintenance, our drainage, our replacement, and our beautification, and we have invested in our team. Okay? That's the overview. Turn page. Reading this, yeah. Linda's going to take you through a highlight of what we do have a marketing plan. We do have a strategic plan, and Linda will talk to you in a high level on it.
Okay, the marketing plan. It was a question that came in actually through info at Ocean Pines. Someone questioned, do we have a marketing plan? Yes, we do have a market plan for all of our amenities. Our governing documents outline a need for an annual marketing plan. We work with coordination with the Director of Public Relations and Marketing, who oversees with the department heads, and the pricing, communication, and advertising aligns with the strategic plan that we have in place.
Okay. Next up, strategic plan. Steve, can you help her out? She's trying to turn the page. Yeah, but you have the slide while he's doing it. Look at that slide. Yeah, just read it. Read the slide.
Okay, strategic. Okay, moving on to strategic plan. Strategic plan, I know we started the strategic plan, I think it was 2 years ago. We do have a strategic plan. It was vetted and it's actually online, so anyone can review it at any time. We will invest, our goal was to invest in amenities and infrastructure, enhance the customer experience. Amenities are priced at below market and comparables to prices, which will outline more with the pricing strategy that we had this year. The budgets are to strive to meet the minimum meat of our expenses, and we are to develop our team, which we have done.
Just talk about the capital while he's doing it.
Moving on to the capital, we do have a capital summary. We have a total of, in the reserves, 1.5 million. Replacement new capital, we have budgeted for 1.2 million. Roads capital is 350,000. Drainage capital is at 250,000 with total capital at 1.8.
So on the capital, let's have Justin. So on the capital, the biggest part on the capital this year is the irrigation. We're in a 5-year plan with that. Justin Hartshorn, our maintenance superintendent of golf course, it certainly reflects a great job that he's doing in his team. He'll talk to us about the irrigation and where we're at. Justin.
Yeah, hello. I just wanted to touch briefly on it. Obviously, the golf course irrigation is one of the biggest assets the entire community has, and it's one of the most important tools that my department uses on a daily basis for golf course maintenance. So it's very exciting. The crew is actually out there now installing some of the new hardware in the ground. You can see them working on one, and the stuff has been staged in the parking lot for a while. It's a very exciting project. And we've discussed it a lot in the 5 years that I have been here. So very nice to see some parts being put in the ground and replaced. Yeah, overall, it's just hard to put a value on that system. It's vital for the operation of golf and keeping the course in a great condition for everyone that comes to use it, which is very nice to see. So exciting to see that go in the ground. And it should help as well with some of our efficiencies on the maintenance side. Yeah, over the last 5 years, we've pretty much repaired multiple probably leaks and issues on every single hole on the property, including the 19th green and driving range as well. So it has cost a lot of man hours just to maintain and keep up with the aging system. So very exciting to see this replacement take place because we do know it is a big asset.
So this project compliments to Ocean Pines and the board and everybody else. This was a long time coming. That system, there were pieces of that system that are 50 years old. And the useful life of the system, depending on which parts, ranges from 50 to 75 years, and then the sprinkler heads are different. But it's well needed and it's time. All right, so while she's catching up on the slides, I'm going to talk to you about the pricing and how we approach that, because the biggest part on the individual departments and the budgets and the big thing this year was the pricing study we did. So how did we approach this pricing study? Well, we benchmarked against comparables. We compared the inflation rate to our price increases over 5 years. We reviewed our increase in expenses over the same period. The ultimate goal was to cover our operating expenses per MO2. As a result, within this budget, we have pricing which is benchmarked, reflecting fees, memberships, moving in a direction to cover operating costs and generally still be below market prices of our comparables. So each department will talk about that. I know based upon the survey we took coming in, that 75 out of the 100 of you here, if not more, want to talk about racket sports. And that's the department that I'm going to bring in first, and Terry to bring in and talk to you a little more in depth about how he approached that and how we approached that total racket sports budget. Okay? You good? All right, so I'm just going to ask Terry to come down. Steve, if you can just switch with Terry, please. You got to pick the ball. Does he know slides? So there are a couple slides that Terry's going to read through, but he'll mostly focus on how he went about the pricing, a little more detail on who were the comparables, what were the names, and where. Certainly, he's the most qualified on that. He's got a long background in it. So with that, I'm going to hand off to Terry, and I'm here if he needs me on anything. Terry.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
Thanks. Thank you. I've been in coaching and teaching since 1976, and I was a former player and a collegiate player and a high school player before that. So my background in sports has been a long time. We, as a meeting, as a team, had many meetings going back and forth on what our pricing structure was going to be, knowing what our budget would had to be. And after those many meetings, our team and the board of directors decided on this pricing structure that looked to mirror other racket facilities around the area, and not just the Eastern Shore, but around the East Coast. So if you look at our slide on the screen, you see on the resident family members, or the annual dues the membership fee would be $295. It would be $295. And oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna look at my, if you can, I'm gonna look off mine. Our entry fee into the facility for this coming year will be for membership for a resident individual will be $295. For a resident family would be $495. The membership fee for a non-resident individual will be $370, and non-resident would be, for a non-resident family would be $590. And then junior costs would be $70 for a resident junior, and non-resident junior would be $90. I want to go talk about how we got to this spot. The first, they talked about benchmarks. So I looked at all the sites on the Eastern Shore that had a racket facility. These racket, but I had to go with, does this racket facility have a staff? Does it have an attendant? Does it have licensed instructors? Do they have maintenance personnel? So that threw out certain places that were public parks, things like that. The cost comparisons. Bayside, $500 a seasonal membership, unlimited play for an individual or a family. But Bayside is a community, and check their assessments of their community and compare, and on top of that. For the cost at Sea Colony, which is rated the #1 pickleball center in the United States, and all you can play membership for tennis and pickleball, as much as you want to play, for the summer is $725. $225 for the membership fee, $500 to play, unlimited. Any guests that you bring along, they have to pay. Bethany Club costs $745 for an individual, $1,095 for a couple, $1,200 for a family. Guests pay to play. So I kept going out. Plantations up in Lewis, Dave Marshall's facility, $300. He decided to marry and met the membership of pickleball and tennis. One fee, $300. But you pay $6 an hour on top of that when you play. The 300 is just for the membership. What happens if an indoor facility comes into Ocean Pines, or not into Ocean Pines, into Ocean City, like Dildinkers? What would they charge for a membership, yearly membership? $300. So I went out. I talked, I looked at, and I heard concerns about, well, you use Wallingford as an example. I'm from Pennsylvania, so I know Wallingford. I used to coach around Wallingford. But I also looked at other places. Okay, I looked at Greenwich, Connecticut. Platform costs, that's $325 a year. Oh, excuse me, and Easton, Connecticut, Racket Club, platform, $250 a month. Nahant, Massachusetts, $275 for platform. Glen Ellen Park in Illinois, $270 for resident. Kingsbury, Massachusetts, oh, that was $145 for platform a month.
Please let the gentleman, he did a lot of research. You have your time to talk.
Cherry Hill, pickleball, $100 a month. Birchwood, $378 for pickleball for 6 months. Salt Creek, Illinois, $4,100 for their membership for the year. Doylestown, Pennsylvania, know it well. It was only 20 minutes from where I lived. Their tennis membership is $260 a year, plus court time fees. They don't have a pickleball membership. They charge $15 a play, $18 if you're paying by credit card every time you play. So in looking at the $295, where does this all come from? The why? As John was saying, our factors of cost have gone up. Minimum wage back in 2022 was $8.35. It's now 15. Our utilities, our water, all our services are up since the pandemic. And the lack of putting in depreciation factors into our budget is coming home to roost. Our site is 44 years old with things that need to be repaired. And because we have so many people coming in, which I'm not complaining, that's the best positive, but we need to have staffing on site. And you see this, you're probably looking at the staffing costs. If we cut staffing, we cut services, we cut people. We cut services to you that come to play. We are attempting to operate on a break-even level, not to make any money. Our maintenance costs of the hard court repair costs. We had 2 hard court vendors come in within this year because we're having crack problems, because the site was built on a marsh. There's water underneath the courts. We thought by fixing the cracks, it might be a 2, 3, even 4-year fix. It's not. Both vendors said that your cracks are going to come back. You're going to have cracks. You should budget for fixing, repairing cracks. That changes life. It changes life for us. Clay court yearly maintenance, umbrellas, furniture, court tools, rollers, touchless water fountains, professional level portable pickleball nets, replacement of tennis nets. I could go on. Those are factors. We have capital improvements that are happening. We have proposed shade structures, area fencing, expand lighting, security cameras that we're putting into place. All things that are in our budget. I'm on a budget. You're looking at a retired school teacher of 71 years old and a coach, and I'm still working. We do this. We price this at $295. Yeah, it is for some members, it's a jump. It's a jump that should have been done over years of time. It hadn't. I knew coming in, I was going to be the one coming forward if this was going to be the one that's happening. I'd have the target. But this still, and I believe this with my heart, at the cost, we're not looking at, oh, this year 295, next year 400, next year 600, the year after that 600. No, we are trying hard to stay at a level that's affordable, that everybody can play. But I want to encourage people to play more than one sport. I want the racket center to be more family oriented.
Okay. All right, please
I-
let him finish. and-
Let me finish, please.
Please let him finish.
I still believe we're giving great value to the membership. If we look at the average, I looked at the average check-in rate to see if we are charging really high. The average check-in rate, I was shocked. And it's a good thing. It was a good shock. The average check-in rate was like 35 times to this date that people have been there. 35 times. And I see faces in here that I know you've been there 435 times over June, July, and August. The goal is to still maintain a high quality standard for our playing surfaces. Our goal is to provide staff to enhance the playing experience. Our goal is to continue to evolve to keep up with the sports demands. That if we have to convert courts to make more for one sport, we can do that. In conclusion, this has been tough, but it's been so rewarding for me to see so many people come to the site and play sports, compete, and have fun. Our sports groups are animated, energetic, and fun to be around. And all my staff wants to do, and myself, is to make that time as enjoyable as possible.
Thank you, Terry. I just want to add a couple things, and then our assistant controller is going to add another piece from the accounting. We didn't have a full-time director when I first came here. We do now. We didn't have a full-time maintenance person there, all requested by several people who are presidents of different councils there, and we have basically a full-time maintenance person there. So they're all added in there, and I think Terry covered a lot of the stuff. I know I heard a lot of people, and I kind of come from some of the areas that outside of Maryland that Terry mentioned, and I know the price of living there is higher, as I heard a few people say, but he also showed you the Eastern Shore. He had a lot of comparables in the Eastern Shore, and his numbers were still favorable to anything around here, pretty much. Is that correct? Okay, so with that, I do want to bring in Mark Swift. He's our assistant controller. Mark did some stats for us. I did this with golf years ago, just to show, just so we can get a feel too, to see, is there a benefit to somebody taking out a membership? And there's many different reasons for taking out a membership, but I think we all look at, myself included, where's the financial benefit? So Mark's just going to tell you about general numbers that we've seen there, but pretty much the majority when you have a membership. Mark?
So you have the slide up here for pickleball. What we did was we took the total check-ins for the racket center, broke it down by membership type, the number of members, and just tried to figure out what the value was in each membership. This is for fiscal year 24, the last completed year that we have. You'll note on the bottom that FY25 so far, 9 months in, is trending the same way. The dues are different, the daily fee is different, but the number of check-ins and that value is still there so far this year. For pickleball, the resident family in 24, the dues were $295 with a daily fee of $7. The average check-in per family membership for residents was $75 for that year. That's a value of $3.93 per check-in versus paying $7 if you had just got paid every time you played. And then the value of that membership was $520 is what you would have paid for the daily fee. So that's a very large savings with that membership there. The resident individual, same thing, $180 for those dues. And the price per check-in based on those number of check-ins is about the same, $3.83. And you're almost 200% of the value by getting that membership versus paying the daily fee. The next slide, Linda, is tennis. And this is going to show pretty much the same thing. There's not as much value there, but you're still saving money versus paying a $10 fee for fiscal year 24. The average resident family paid $7.50 per check-in and $8.28 for individuals. There's still value in those memberships there. As I said, those fees for FY25, it's all trending the same way. There's plenty of value in that membership on average versus paying that daily fee. And then platform, Linda, is very similar to pickleball. Based on the average number of check-ins, you're paying about half the price of the daily fee and getting almost 200% value in that membership versus paying every time you go to play.
Thank you, Mark. Good, Terry. Okay, so with that, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is the comments that they're in, I duly noted on that. Do we have with the estimated? Right, with the proposed, he has it, right? Okay, so, then again, please, comments at the end. This is a good question. Karen, he also does have it with the proposed prices. So you have with the proposed prices with the assumptions, that the amount of play is basically the same as last year. You have something like that? Yeah, do that. With the new proposed prices, do you have what it would come out to? All right, so we did talk about it the other day. He will put that together, and we will put that out there on the website. Okay, Mark? Yeah. Okay, so we will have that, okay? We will do that. We have it. We worked on it the other day. Maybe he doesn't have it today, but we'll put that out there. It's a good question, please, to the end, but I get it, and we'll work on that. I do want to answer your questions here. All right, so with that, I think we're good with racket sports. I do have many other departments to go through. I know from the survey in there that 75 out of basically 75 or 80 people, it's focused on the racket sports. I do have to do the other pieces though. All right, but we'll pretty much go through them as efficient and effectively as we can. And then we'll have the comment section. Everybody okay with that? Or you just want me to wrap it up now? No? All right. What's next? Next department. Terry, thank you. Oh, good job. Golf. Bob Beckelman. Everybody know Bob? No, we really don't have many golfers. Bob, this is his third tour of duty. He had to come back.
Third time's a charm. Good morning, everyone. Mine is pretty simple. Golf has been doing pretty well over the last couple of years. This year, our revenue plan remains the same. We're increasing memberships a little bit to try to catch up to the other courses in the area. Ocean City and River Run are the most comparable to us. If we added in Green Hill and Glen Riddle and those, they're significantly higher than us, so I don't really take those into consideration. We are raising daily rates for public play. We are not raising rates for resident play, however. We're keeping that kind of steady. We're still building that relationship with the other residents in Ocean Pine, hoping that they'll join membership eventually. Basically, we've been raising those rates to keep up with CPI and also to catch up with the other local rates in the area. I'm advised by the hotel packagers, the people in the business locally, where we should be rate-wise to fit in well with the other courses in the area, and that's basically how we fit those, or how we come up with those package rates and hotel rates and public rates. We are budgeting right now, this may have changed a little bit, but we're budgeting golf to net about $460,000. Total depreciation for next year is going to be somewhere in the range of $385,000. We're trying to cover that, and we're hoping for a total net of $75,000 for next year. Again, that's probably changed a little bit since I've written this, but those are pretty close numbers, I would think. Our golf operation equipment and facilities are in good condition. This building's only 3 or 4 years old. So it's doing really well for us. Driving range is in good condition. We have very little, virtually no capital going on the operations end. Justin's already talked about the capital on his end. We're adding some small things, a railing for the backdoor pro shop. We have to replace some range netting, and that's about it. Just a couple of replacement items. So we basically have no major capital items for next year. That's pretty much all I have.
Thank you, Bob. Justin, you want to jump in?
Yeah, and for the maintenance side, we're really just trying to focus mostly on efficiency. Obviously, we have to balance well in order for our department to succeed and make money. So with the inflated costs, and we see some of our prices increase, chemicals and fertilizers. So we do try to account for that, and actually have eliminated a payroll position this year. So really focusing on efficiency, have dropped a staff member, just trying to stay pretty balanced with the maintenance operation. And as well with a lot of our capital replacement we've done over the years in the irrigation system, as long as a lot of the equipment, you know, we really focus on preventative maintenance of a lot of the fleet that's running down there. So yeah, shout out to Matt, my equipment manager, does a great job with the preventative maintenance, which is helping keep major repair costs down. So we're trying to continue that trend. That's about all I have from the maintenance side.
Thank you, Justin. I mean, certainly you look at it on the course, you can see, and you can see the numbers, the golf course. We do have a pricing plan. We've been increasing prices. We're still lower than everybody else, pretty much on this Eastern Shore. Irrigation system is big. Okay, with that, I'm going to move on to aquatics, beach parking, GM office, and CPI. Linda will handle all that.
Okay, I'm presenting for Michelle Hitchens. For aquatics, the main goal is to enhance the customer experience. That is part of the strategic plan. So what was happening is that the staff wages, of course, are going up. We're trying to enhance the customer experience. We are going ahead and we have full-time lifeguards as well as part-time. We were fully staffed last year. So that was the first time since COVID. We were fully staffed, no closures. I hope everyone appreciated that. Maintenance, we have increased the maintenance. So the maintenance has increased as well as we're doing some maintenance on patio resurfacing that's on the capital projects, as well as pump room updates. So you'll be seeing that if the budget's approved. As far as beach parking is pretty much a flat budget. We did do a price increase along with aquatics. It was comparables, which we'll get more into detail later, but it was a slight increase in the pricing for beach parking, but the rest of the budget is steady, but it is due to maintenance. We have the maintenance of the parking lot, the maintenance of the building, the maintenance of the restrooms, all go under beach parking. If anyone's been to the beach park, the beach club, we did put a new concrete patio in. So that is for safety. There's no longer the wood platform underneath. So you'll be seeing that this summer. Moving on to the general manager's office. That's pretty much a flat budget as well. A slight decrease in utility costs, a slight increase in insurance costs, and then that operating at 409. CPI, no increase in fees this year. There was an increase last year. We are looking into changing the CPI fees next year. So that might be for next year's budget, for not this year's budget. Resales are picking back up. They've been down the last few years. We're projecting that at 83,000. We do have increased insurance expenses, which was brought up here actually on there. We have decrease in contractor services because people are complying with their maintenance issues. So we are no longer having to send contractors out to resolve these issues. We did have a major increase in legal fees. We have a new attorney. He is hot on getting those, getting them resolved. So we do have an increase in legal fees for this year. So that was a major change in the CPI budget.
Next up is marinas. Okay, there's no questions to the end, but I'll take it quick. Okay, good question. All right, so the marinas, I'm going to work on the marinas with Nobi Violante. We did have a change this year. Nobi has an expanded role. He's now in charge of the marina as well as the deputy down in Public Works. And both Eddie and I are very pleased with what Nobi has done there and the help he's giving me. The marina, our budget, we're budgeting to receive more operating profit than we did last year. The year before, we did have 95 small craft advisories, which was one of the highest I heard, and that did affect us. The strategy down there, which Nobi is continuing from his predecessor, is he will constantly review the pricing of fuel to try to lock in at a certain time. We don't wait till we open. We've been pretty successful over the years. So obviously the price we get, the more favorable it is, the better prices we're able to give. Nobi believes in, just like his predecessor, our prices at the marina are basically lower. The nod over there. Basically priced lower than anywhere else that we see it. So again, same thing with our amenities. So a lot of good stuff there. He is going to come out with an apparel line. I've seen some good apparel come out of there. I wear it. Please go down there and support him, even if you're not somebody at the boat slips. The boat slips do have an increase. Ruth Dan will tell you because I can't read the print. It's so small, but there is an increase there. Ruth Dan, you want to tell us what it is?
Are going from 4170 to 4680. The Swim and Racket Club, all boat slips are going from 1570 to 1760. And we are adding jet ski slips over at the Swim and Racket, which will go for 1200 apiece. With those increases, we're still way under other marinas that are in the area.
Thank you, Ruth Dan. So Nobi, you just tell us, I mean, this is Nobi's idea. Eddie and Nobi worked on this. I think it's a really good one. The board has given me the okay to go forward with it. Nobi, how many slips for the jet skis?
6 jet ski slips.
And Ruth Dan, Nobi, we have a list. Please call or reach out to Ruth Dan Meyer if you are interested in them. We have had a few people already, so that we were anticipating that we're going to wind up with a list on that. So they will be ready in May. And I just think it's another enhanced amenity or service for Ocean Pines. And it's, well done, Nobi and Eddie. Okay, bulkheads. Nobi, you want to jump in on bulkheads or?
Yeah, so with the bulkheads this year, we're continuing the program. We're working on getting the best prices we can get, like we always do. With the tariffs and stuff coming, we're trying to basically work on pricing to get that honored for next year if possible, because we don't really know what the prices are going to do. And basically just trying to get that all done and moving forward.
So we've been basically, Nobi and his team and Eddie, they've did basically 2,000 linear feet a year. The lifespan of a bulkhead today with the material we're using is somewhere around 40, 45. I mean, we've used new material. Those are the numbers we're seeing. We got about 90,000 linear feet. So it kind of makes sense the 2,000 or so we're doing. By doing 2,000 linear feet, we are pretty much able to be completed by Memorial Day or in May. When we tried to do more than that, it stretched after that, and the residents were not pleased with the barges and all that. So that's where we're at on that. Thank you, Nobi. Next up. Keep moving. What's next? Rec and Parks, Debbie Donahue. Debbie, why don't you tell us about your programs?
Hi, how y'all doing? So Rec and Parks, we have a lot of different programs that we are adding this year. We've gone back into bus trips again that had kind of taken aside since COVID. We had a really huge event this year at Christmas for the Vienna Boys Choir. I think some of you may have actually gone to that, and it was wonderful. It made a lot of revenue for Ocean Pines. Kevin Powell did a lot of work on that event, and it turned out really, really well. So we're hoping that we can work in collaboration with maybe the convention center still doing different events. We've got plans to work with the yacht club, and holding different events there as well, coming into the spring and summer, maybe into the fall, doing some things there that hopefully are a little bit larger than we can facilitate at the community center in the Assateague room. So we have a lot of those things that we're hoping that we are able to bring in new revenue into the recreation department. We are working on different changes and structure changes to some of our classes and programs. We've brought in some new yoga classes and Pilates, things of that nature. We do have plans to bring in more of those classes and with some new instructors. So we're hoping that we can increase class revenue with some of those things. As you know, like the dog park, it is a great addition, a great amenity for Ocean Pines. It runs itself basically and is continuing to make revenue there. As far as the farmers market, it also, is one of the better amenities that we have. We get a lot of vendors there, a lot of revenue on vendors for the recreation department as well. As far as the kayak rentals, I wanted to let everybody know that they will stay the same this year. We still have them at Swim and Racket and at Pintail. That fee stays the same for this summer. Our special events includes a lot of different things, but if you look at the budget, there's quite a few of the special events that do bring in some type of revenue. I have asked my team to try and add to those programs. So some of the ones that are consistently free, like Easter, the Fall Festival, things like that, they are bringing in different vendors to help offset some of that free cost, if you will. So we're working on trying to add new to what's already been existing and trying to bring in some new look and some new light. Big Truck Day this year in April is going to be much bigger than it's been before. Katie added a lot of things to that. So if you have little children and they're going to be around on April 26th, bring them out because it's going to be a much bigger, much more fun event. Again, we do collect vacations. I don't know if anybody realizes that, but that's also revenue to Ocean Pines. If you're interested in traveling and vacations, there will be new things there that will also come out. And you'll see that we are offering 3 new trips in 2026. So that's new revenue coming in. One of the questions that I get a lot is about maintenance to the building. I wanted to let everybody know that we are working on keeping up the maintenance at the community center. I'm working with Public Works to try and hire a person to replace Norbert. It has been a little bit of a challenge, but we are, as a staff and working together with Public Works, trying to keep up with the things that need to be done there. So that's working out in our favor, but I just wanted to let y'all know that we are working on that. As far as summer camp, those prices are going to go up this year just a little bit. We are working on also staffing and expenses to kind of, even that playing field out a little bit. And facility rentals will also go up just a minor amount, but it hasn't been raised in a little bit. So we're going to raise some prices there. But other than that, everything at the recreation department kind of stays the same.
Thank you, Debbie. Next up, Steve Phillips, our controller, finance.
Okay, I'll start in on the general administration piece of the budget. There was a couple revenue increases outside of the assessments revenue. One of them that's notable is the right-of-way fees. That's the fees that we receive from both Comcast and Mediacom. It's trended upward in recent years. Budget reflects an increase of about $30,000 in revenues. In terms of the expense side, we have a $35,000 reduction in contracted services. This primarily relates to savings from the IT team, credit to Keith and Howard. It's a result of the elimination of the AirSpring vendor that was assisting in the management of OPA's network. And we switched to a new, simpler, more cost-effective solution. It's called Unified, saved us about $25,000. We also continued to consolidate our phone lines, expanding our VoIP lines while getting rid of landlines. We think this should reduce overall phone costs going forward of approximately 20%. So I'll switch over to the finance budget. We carry out a lot of different support functions: accounting, budgeting, cash management, financial reporting, accounts receivable, accounts payable, memberships and assessments, human resources, and IT. So we primarily are made up personnel costs. But even after factoring in merit increases in this year's budget, we were able to decrease the budget $8,000 versus last year's budget. We're favorable to date in 24-25 because we have an HR employee position that's no longer being filled. You'll see the removal of this position if you look in the budget and you look at the wages and benefits expense categories, down approximately $50,000. We did contract, though, with an independent contractor to assist us with payroll processing and HR functions, and this is reflected with a $38,000 increase in contracted services. And then just a notable item in terms of the revenues, we have a conservative estimate of $35,000 in transfer fees resulting from OPA charges associated with the transfer of properties. And this is up $5,000 versus the budget. And we increased the price per transfer from $150 to $200.
Thank you, Steve. I just want to take a second, and I think during the finance section is the best for me, just a high-level overview on the assessment, since I did have one or two people that want to know about the assessment. So the assessment, now the recommended assessment, is a $25 increase from last year. You know, I talked about safety. Safety was a big increase. Our medical insurance, liability insurance, our salary increases is always a big increase. So the increase in the assessment would have been higher, except for the next two components. It would have been higher than $25. When you look at the budget, because I said this once before and in the media it didn't come out. If I look at last year's budget for food and beverage and its effect on our assessment last year, and I look at the budget that Steve and I put together, and obviously food and beverage is going to be different next year. And I take that budget this year versus last year's budget and quantify it on the assessment. If we had stayed with the same budget numbers in its budget last year, it would have been, the assessment would have been $18 higher. Is that correct? I see Steve yet. So this year, with the change going to a lease and whatever, what's anticipated, again, it's a budget, and we'll find out next year when I'm sitting here. It's $18 favorable. The pricing obviously has a favorability also, and then the net comes down to the 25. So I just thought, I know somebody had the question on the assessment. I think at a high level, hopefully that plus all the detail from all the department heads will help answer that question. All right, with that, next up, Eddie Wells, Public Works. Eddie's been with us over 20 years, and Nobi, I think they do a great job, as well as everybody else.
Good morning, everybody.
That was the big.
Public Works budget this year, we've kept it as close as we could to last year. Not too many increases. We try to manage and price out the best we can on projects just because of cost inflations. Everything's going up. Unfortunately, everything we deal with on our department costs more, it seems like. I mean, from the gasoline, the oil to the mowers, the lumber. Anybody that owns a home in here, all of you know, everything we buy costs more money, but we were able to keep our budget very, very close to where we kept it at last year. Got a lot of new projects coming up that John and his teams are putting together. We're working on one of them. Most of you in this crowd see going on right now with the Racket Center. I'll give you a little update on that. Demo is just about complete, probably another week, 10 days, and demo will be done, and then you'll start seeing the new construction come in. We're still got a green light. We're on schedule to be done by spring and have you guys in it and using that facility. Firehouse is another big project, as John mentioned, and to see Joey over here. It's well needed to the community, bring things up to the time and the date. A lot more people in here than there used to be. We need a facility that can keep up with the demands of this community. It's a good project. Hopefully when it goes to referendum, y'all vote for it because it's safety. Chief, another one. We've been helping with the police department last year or 2 years ago when we remodeled it. Public Works with him. Another safety issue. It's safety is our biggest concern in here. My biggest concern at Public Works is safety of my guys that are underneath me in charge of them. Like I said, we try to do the best we can, take care of 210 miles of ditches, 7 miles of canals. How many feet? 30,000 feet of bulkheads. I mean, it's 90,000 feet. I'm sorry, 90,000 feet of bulkheads. 90 miles of roads just under, 300 some acres of grounds. And we've got a crew of just 15 guys that does all the maintenance on all the facilities and the pools and everything. But they do a good job. We were able to keep the budget flat. But to John's credit and the board of directors, they have given us what we need to do our job, which makes it a lot easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Let me just add on there, Eddie, we just did the gazebo, the pavilion down at Veterans Memorial. I believe it was a big success. I know we got a lot of very good feedback. We are in the process, and especially everybody here knows at the Racket Sports Center. Eddie has, in addition to his public works position, he oversees the construction. So when I'm not there, he's there. And if he's not there and I'm not there, nobody. But there's always somebody there working in conjunction with Wayland and utilizing wherever we can our resources to try to keep the price down. So I appreciate all of that. It's just something else that we've done in addition to the normal day-to-day. Okay, next up is marketing public relations. Josh has been a little under the weather. I'm going to jump in and do it. And maybe it is better because sometimes, to recognize things, it's always good when somebody else does it. When you look at public relations and marketing, again, look at this year's budget and the budget last year. The revenue that's being brought in, organic revenue that Josh, his team, and others have brought in, helps to lower the assessment. His operating budget is lower than it was last year. Obviously, favorability when I compare this year's budget assessment to last year. So I do want to highlight that. Obviously, like anything else, we have increased costs there, but I can tell you that him and his team are on it, just like every other team. We are looking at bringing somebody else in for his team. Where is he? Is that true? Yep. So I believe that's in the works. We approved that a couple of weeks ago. It's all within our budget and our FTE schedule. So we're looking to bring in some more talent, some more expertise in areas that maybe we didn't look at in the past. And I'm excited about it, and hopefully it all works out. So that's your marketing. If you have the binder or whatever, the operating cost is down about $20-something thousand. So that's pretty good. Thank you, Josh, and to your team. All right, who's up next? I'm trying to get done by police, and then we're adding Ocean Pines Volunteer Fire. Chief.
All righty, time for the police department. So, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. When I came here, including myself, we had 7 officers and 1 officer in the academy. Right now, we are up to 12 officers, and I'm planning on hiring a couple more by the beginning of the spring. And a couple things that's doing right now, that is guaranteeing that we have a force that's out here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to provide the quality service that the residents of Ocean Pines both deserve and expect. And with that goes, it's increased cost for salaries, equipment, and I want to make sure that the officers here have the best things that they need to be properly equipped in 2024. And that's everything, whether it's the body cameras that we've already implemented, we actually just updated them to, we're looking at bringing in tasers, which are unfortunately, I know that sounds like, oh my gosh, why are you getting tasers? But they are a necessary tool to keep you out of a situation where, deadly force is your only option. In my 30-year career, the taser is probably the best tool that I've seen come along. We have so many computer programs that people aren't aware that we have to have, whether it's for report writing, for agency management, and to track everything from stolen equipment to policy management. And all those things, do cost money. And we're just trying to maintain what we have in terms of taking care of the officers that we do have. One thing I want to stress to you that I've noticed over the last year is that the amount of applicants that we have had, or the quality of applicants that we've had, has been very good. And we're getting a lot of interest from people that want to work for this community, for this police department. And we are asking for a 1 new vehicle to maintain our take-home vehicle program. With all that being said, we're trying to make this not only the quality police department that you deserve and expect, but also an attractive place for officers who want to come to work and to stay for a period of time. And I would be remiss if I did not thank not only the support that we get every day from the community, but the support of our general manager, John Viola, and the board of directors, because with their support, when I came in about 18 months ago, they've been able to help me and enable me to do what needs to be done here for this department. And I thank you all for your support and being here today.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, I left it off on the bottom, and apologies, but Joe is here. He's the president of the Ocean Pines Volunteer Fire Department, and Joe's going to talk to you about the.
Good morning, everyone, or I guess at this point, good afternoon. Much like the police chief has said, our job here in the community is to not only provide safety, but also to educate the community on how to be safe. We have a great combined staff. Most of you know that we are a combination fire department. So we have a large segment of volunteers, and we also have career staff that are trained paramedic and firefighters that are on the clock 24 hours a day. Much like anything else, a lot of our expenses have continued to rise, whether it be for our equipment, salaries, insurances, and things like that. So we did our best to try to keep our budget as close to last year as possible. You will see an increase this year for a couple reasons. One of the primary reasons is our apparatus replacement cost. Through the new MOU that we worked on this summer with the board of directors, there's been a split, a change in the split with that. So you'll see an increase in that category. And we'll also see that increase because the cost of apparatus continues to go up. We do have a new engine that's already on order. We have a new medic unit on order, and we're going to continue to have to cycle through those pieces of equipment to make sure that we're keeping up with all the standards. So that way we can also provide the level of care. All of our responses are continuing to go up. This past year alone, we had 2,125 EMS calls for service, as well as 355 fire calls for service. And that translated into just shy of about 4,000 manpower hours. Now, on top of that, our volunteers and career staff are also constantly out there trying to raise funds to try to supplement the budget and our requests to the community. We've been able to see increases, slight increases from the county funding, and we're very appreciative of that. And thankful to the board and this community, we supplement that budget and our fundraising through these numbers. So our categories really where they've went up this year was capital for our equipment, as well as some increases you'll see for our actual compensation and related costs for our employees or insurance, annual step increases and things like that.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much. Okay, with that, I was hoping, and I'm pretty much a few minutes here or there, to do that part, be done somewhere around 12 o'clock. I do want to point out a couple of things. I do appreciate the cooperation from everybody here today. I have to check this box. We have to check the box. This is part of the process. What I wanted to show today is all of us have an engaged team. I am very impressed every year during this process in this town hall when I look around and I see the amount of board representatives here physically in the building. And we must have 5 or 6 here, and I'm sure all 7, if they could, would be here. They're here to listen. They're here, obviously, they have decisions to make after that, which leads me to the next section, in a very important section today, which is the comments section. We are here, my entire team is here, and like I said, the board are here to listen, to try to understand what the homeowners, and I guess today it's highlighted by Racket Sports, and rightfully so, what you have to say. So please, it is a comments section. You get 5 minutes. Josh has volunteered, because I'm not going to time it. Josh he has a timer. Please understand 5 minutes. And we're open to your comments. So with that said, if you just raise your hand, because I thought there'll be a lot, and we'll try to get up here in order, okay? We'll spend as much time. Okay, I have it. That's the first one right back there, sir. Just come up to the podium. Keith, are they good? Can you help them out? So you would have to, please list your name and your address. Comments are only people that live in Ocean Pines. We value this part.
Also send.
Right. So I've spoken to the board, and well, it was my team and department heads. We anticipate you sending it out, and we appreciate it. and we will read it. No, we appreciate the work. But is this going against the flag? The flag? Name and address, please.
All right, just going to start my timer.
That's fine, that's
That
fine.
helps me.
No, we'll start now, Josh.
All right, okay, here we go. All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jim Ferguson, and my wife Becky and I live at 7 Carriage Lane on the north side of the Pines. So I'm here today with Carl to present some materials present some materials that were given to us, provided to us by Claire Walker, the president of the Ocean Pines Pickleball Club. So just to get right into it and move along, our purpose is to address the concerns about the proposed membership changes and the associated fees increases, as well as we'll talk a little bit about facility usage. So from that, we will go right to our key concerns. Again, membership structure changes to single membership, the significant fee increases from last year's fees, and the drop-in fee competitiveness. That's a big one that I did have a chance to talk to John a little bit earlier. Facility usage disparities and financial contribution. We want to make a point about the financial contributions that pickleball makes in general. And then another general concern that's always expressed, I think, is capital expenditures. Do renovations and some of the maintenance that we do regularly come out of capital reserves versus coming out of membership fees. So our membership structure changes. As Terry talked about, there's a new structure in force to basically forces everyone in all the various a la carte sports sections to pay for all racket sports with one membership fee. So we did do it. The Pickleball Club did do a survey, and we got a good number of responses from our club. 84% of those surveyed only will play one sport. So that's a reality right now. The median age of most of our racket players is in the mid 60s. Many of us are just going to only be able to play one sport. So I want to make that point. We want to address the fee increases. Terry went over the fee increases, so I won't dwell on them, but essentially residential membership fees, individual and family, have gone up as much as 50%. To the $295 and $495 respectfully. The non-resident individual and families have gone up about 35% to the $370 and $590. Our concern is that those fee increases will actually reduce membership. So that's something, of course, nobody knows, but especially on the non-resident side, there's a lot of competition. So I'm going to point out some of that competition to you. So the drop-in fee increases is also a major concern. In the past, it's been as low as, I guess we saw some of the 2024 numbers down in the $7, $8 range, which is very competitive for the surrounding area. Going up to 13 I feel, and I think the rest of the pickleball community feels, is that's going to have a negative impact. I really recommend that we go back to $10 for the non-residents and $8 for the residents. And part of the reason is drop-in is good marketing. That's how, at least in the pickleball world, we enjoy having people come over from Ocean City when they're vacationing. We enjoy people from all over coming over to play pickleball. And that drop-in fee of $13 for a couple, especially 2 people coming over, $26, it's just not in line with the alternatives. I'll mention a few: Clayton Elementary, Evans Park, they're free. Ocean City Racket Center, just off the 90, is $6. Ocean City Park at 2nd Street, brand new, it's free. Northside Park is $5. Snow Hill is $5. Salisbury is free. In addition, many communities like River Run, oops, that's my alarm. In addition, many community courts like in our area, Glen Riddle, the Refuge, they have been adding courts, and we've heard of many people that are just going to go over there and play when this fee is increased. So higher fees are going to put players to other facilities, and it's going to have a negative impact on our revenue stream. So just while I have a little bit more time before Carl goes, our tennis membership is declining. That's a reality. And it's projected to decline again, another 15% in FY '26. We're at the 50 or so right now. Tennis, it's going to drop even further, perhaps. Pickleball membership is growing. Pickleball grows an average of 8.6% per year. The national numbers, as Carl will go over, are even more incredible. And 70% of our racket center members are pickleball members. So we just wanted to make that point. So am I at my 5 minutes? So we'll go right to Carl.
Good afternoon, John, members of the board, department heads. My name is Carl Vincent. My wife and I, Tina, we live at 5 Links Lane in the Interlinks, and we maintain a family pickleball membership. So following up on Jim's comment, as he mentioned, pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports. Last 3 years, participation increased over 200%, projected to increase 7.7 or 8% over the next 3 years. We're seeing that increase in our participation at Ocean Pines. So our goal in the long run is to stay ahead of the curve from a membership rate and a facility opportunity to see the growth and take advantage of our community and the nearby communities who may come to play with us. As Jim mentioned, I won't touch that. Let's talk about the facility usage for a second. Unfortunately, the tennis program only has 55 memberships. It's decreased from 400 or so probably years ago. Pickleball, on the other hand, has increased to over 300. Tennis program has 8 composition courts and 2 multi-use courts. Platform tennis has 6 courts. Our pickleball courts in this peak of the summer are extremely crowded. Could be a 20-minute wait between play. And one of our options or one of our recommendations is to look at a more balanced approach and convert 1 or 2 of the composite tennis courts to pickleball courts, multi-use, really, courts. Sportsmaster.net says you can place 4 pickleball courts in the space of a 60 by 120 foot tennis court. So that would provide more play for the tennis players, pickleball players, increase revenue possibility for each, but certainly decrease the cost we're paying for the ongoing maintenance of the composition courts. From a financial standpoint, pickleball contributes about $150,000 in revenue per year and resulting in a $68,000 in net operating profits. Tennis is down to $49,000 in revenue, but unfortunately has a $62,000 operating loss. Again, the maintenance of those courts, part expression, is killing us. We talked about capital. You've got capital reserves. We would like to see capital reserves, capital expenditures support the racket sports as opposed to having the operating budget cover that, or Steve's slush fund, whichever comes first. I can tell you the pickleball community, we've contributed over $4,500 to nonprofits in the area. Diaconia, Maryland Coastal Bays, Ocean City of Maryland Cold Weather Shelter. Our annual Pink Ribbon Tournament, we have every year, 7 years now. They've contributed $93,000 to the American Cancer Society. And we've also had the opportunity to have other tournaments within the pickleball community. But I will tell you, our recommendation is to maintain the current rate structure. Adjust the rates as needed. Look at the capital expenditures, modify the courts, as mentioned. Adjust the fees or keep them lower for those who come in from Ocean City or wherever else on an ad hoc basis. Again, we want to spur the membership, grow all 3 sports, and continue to be competitive. And we should stay ahead of the growth in the pickleball curve. Thank you.
Anybody else? Nobody? Karen? Sir?
Good afternoon. I guess it's noon now. I say good afternoon. My name is John Totoro, and I live on 3 Wood Duck Drive. And with my wife Lynn and my mother-in-law Beverly Lauer. And I want to first thank the board and the committee who works very hard, I guess, all year long. And I just really feel that always has to be said because you guys do work hard. And so I just want to thank you for that. I come back from a long history of tennis. Total addiction to tennis. High school, college, and coaching for 40 years. Boys and girls tennis in South Jersey. And unfortunately, as we get older, tennis falls by the wayside. And I play tennis very, very sparingly now, never here, but with friends of mine over in New Jersey. My wife asked me if we should consider pickleball. I didn't even know what it was 5 years ago. And so we tried it, got some lessons, started playing, meeting people, and it was great. The friendships that we have made over the years, the 5 years that we've been here, are very valuable to us. And, playing pickleball has been an addiction. It actually took over from tennis. So I no longer, play the tennis because I just can't run like I used to. I think a lot of us could say that. But my big concern is fairness. And I think Carl and Jim did a great job in presenting all the details and the numbers. But the one number I want to hit on is tennis increase for tennis membership, 15%. Pickleball increase, 40%. That's not fair. And I really think that, I'm just basically summarizing that. And for the number of pickleball players that play just for the membership alone, not even counting the drop-ins that come from other communities, at least $100,000 last year, at least, when you combine the family membership and the individual membership. And that's just the membership itself. So the amount of money that pickleball brings in is something that really needs to be considered. And the fairness of it is, even 15% is high because the rate of inflation, is around 3%, I guess, is whatever it is, somewhere around there. But that's really what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the fairness of it. So we really should reconsider the dues for the membership because we do bring in an awful lot of money to it, and we surpass what I think the capital expenditure was 22,000 this year that you're proposing, and the membership covers that even with the 295. So I just want to say thank you again to the board and to the committee and to everybody that was here today. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Anybody else? If not, oh, Karen, yeah, I thought you raised your hand before. Karen.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for all you do. You all work very hard, and I personally really appreciate everything that you do. I'm a huge Ocean Pines fan. I am Karen Kaplan. I live at 32 Chatham Court. I am the president of the Platform Tennis Club. So I just want to read a statement there may be questions in there, but we'll see. Anyway, we all understand that the rising costs of utilities, supplies, payroll, and depreciation also have negatively impacted the budget. I have 3 points to make. First, a raise of the HOA fee and amenity membership fees is expected to alleviate some of the OPA budget strain. OPA cost cutting is also prudent. I refer specifically to payroll at the Racket Center, which has increased from 2023 to 2024 by 68%. It is projected to increase in 2026 by another 39% to $153,000 in payroll. Note that the increase in minimum wage was in effect in the 2023 budget. So that is not a factor in this payroll rise. This payroll rise, in my opinion, merits a closer look. My second point, amenity rate increases. These are my observations. The board recommended marina rates to be increased by only 12%, still around $1,000 less per slip than neighboring marinas, despite a waiting list of 100. Aquatics rates were raised an average of 3%, with their 16 membership types still offered. Golf rates are being raised an average of 5%, with their 13 membership types still offered. The Racket Center has 16 memberships. The argument that the Racket Center has too many memberships compared to aquatics and golf does not hold water. Golf is not exempt from inflationary increases. The use of golf carts requires electricity, repairs, maintenance, payroll costs, and incurs depreciation. And with all the capital expenditures, how is a 0% raise on the 53 golf cart package memberships justified? At the Racket Center, rates are being raised 50%, and our 16 memberships are being eliminated. This mandate disenfranchises a good number of members who play only one sport. I understand that having 3 separate Racket Center budgets is complex. How about finding a way to combine the budgets and still offer the different memberships? Let's see. Here's one note. Non-resident rates for next year are at a 16% decrease. I represent the platform tennis members. Sorry. I want to talk about the comparison of our club to the Wallingford, Pennsylvania club. As a note, they offer a senior rate from Memorial Day to Labor Day. This membership includes the use of the pools, plus tennis, plus paddle. All that for individuals is $260 for seniors. For families, this is in Pennsylvania, it's $340. Courts are for members and their guests at no extra charge. There are 3 racket pros on staff. They offer free 1.5-hour tennis clinics during the season. They have heated paddle courts. Bob Beckelman chose not to compare rates to some that were too high. But we are not a country club, and I don't think this is a fair comparison. In my opinion, the elimination of the single sport membership and the 50% raise in Racket Center fees should be reconsidered. Why are multiple memberships and low rate increases good for aquatics and golf, but not the Racket Center? I urge you to merge the 3 Racket Center budgets and maintain the membership offerings. And 2 notes, pickleball friends, okay? You have courts 9 and 10 multi-purpose courts. If they were redesigned, you could add 4 more courts there, okay? The other thing is that, Mark, the rates that you had posted for the membership usage rates were 2023 rates, not 2024. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? We just jump in on golf since golf was there. Golf makes money even after depreciation. We have had increased in the memberships. It's a 5-year plan to ensure that we cover the depreciation once the irrigation system is in place. But again, we're making money after depreciation at golf. So when you compare or whatever, you look at percentage, it's already been built in. Sometimes if we do cherry pick, and I use that term, we all do, if you cherry pick a number and you see a high percentage, but it's also a reflection of maybe over the last 5 years, if not longer, maybe a certain sport in this situation wasn't paying what they should have been paying. And that's nobody's fault. But there's a lot of different factors. And I just ask everybody to focus on what we did, what I explained in the pricing, benchmarking, and I understand about the Eastern Shore. I do, and we've talked about that here. Our prices, even to cover the expenses and still yet be reasonable to other comparables in the area. So it's a lot to it. It is a pivot year for certain areas, and sometimes you do get those percentages. The one thing I can tell you is you have an engaged board. I don't want to speak for them. They're here. They are listening to every comment. There were very good comments today, and I'm sure they will advise and ponder on it. Okay. If nobody else has any questions, thank you very much. It was very good comments.